Hello, friends. Today we will be discussing with the topic antibodies, otherwise known as immunoglobulins. Myself, Febi Paiva, Assistant Professor in the Department of Zoology, St. Joseph's College for Women, Alapura. First of all, let us see what is antibody. Antibody are nothing but glycoproteins. These proteins may be having a globular structure, and these are synthesized in an organism in response to a foreign antigen. These are produced by the B lymphocytes, and these are produced initially as membrane-bound molecules on the B lymphocytes. It is the interaction of an antigen with the membrane-bound receptors which are present on the naive B cell are the ones which are responsible to induce or initiate humoral immunity. Once a naive B cell comes in contact with an antigen, it gets activated, it gets proliferated, and finally differentiated. So the terminally differentiated B cell, we can call them as plasma cells, and these cells are responsible to secrete antibodies. They secrete the antibodies with the same specificity of the B cell receptor which was present on that progenitor B cell. And that secreted antibody is released into the blood plasma, and they move to the different parts of the body to attack the invading antigen for the next time. All the antibodies are nothing but they belongs to class of plasma globulins, that is the proteins, the globulin proteins which are present in the plasma of a blood. I can call, since they are responsible for immunity, I can also term in them as immunoglobulins, which are which are being written as IG. There are 5 classes of immunoglobulins. These are IgG, IgA, IgM, IgD, and IgE. Next, very important thing which we should learn is nothing but the structure of antibody. Every antibody has almost the same basic structure, that is a Y structure. They are made up of 4 polypeptide chains, 2 identical chains which we call them as heavy chain, and 2 identical light chain. So altogether 4 polypeptide chains. As I already said, these are nothing but glycoprotein. So proteins made up of 4 polypeptide chains with 2 heavy chains and 2 light chains. And each chain they contains as expected as amino terminal and another end as carboxyl terminal. And all these 4 polypeptide chains are joined together with the help of covalent disulfide bond and non-covalent interactions. Each heavy chain and the light chains do have variable regions and the constant regions. The variable regions together are responsible to bind antigen, and that variable region will be unique to all the antibody, and that is being contributed because that specificity, that uniqueness is because of the recombinations of the genes of the amino acids present there. As I said, all the polypeptide chains do have a constant region and a variable region. So first we'll see what is the constant region. Constant region, as I said, the amino acid sequence of that particular area of antibody will be same for all the antibodies belonging to same class or subclass. And the constant region of heavy chain, I can call it as CH, and that of a light chain as CL. The thing is that these constant part of the polypeptide chain is not responsible to bind the antigen, but they do have a very important role to determine the fate of the antigen which is bound to the antigen binding site of the antibody. Constant region in a heavy chain can be uh, divided into three parts, that is CH1, CH2 and CH3. And we could see that there is a hinge like structure which join the CH1 and the CH2, and this hinge is thought to provide the flexibility for the antibody to bind with two epitopes or two antigens at the same time or simultaneously. When I come back to the variable region, I can see that the terminal region of both heavy chain and the light chain do possess some variable amino acid. As I said earlier, it is because of the recombinations of the genes. And that variation in the amino acid provide the variable region. And that is the one which is contributing a specificity to an antibody that vary from one antibody to another. And I could see that this variable region, in case of a heavy chain, only forms a quarter portion. That is, if I divide a heavy chain into four parts, one part will be variable part, that is H. Whereas when I speak about the light chain, I can divide it into two parts, that is one half as variable, another as the constant part. We'll be summarizing with the picture, so it will be clear to you. And we can see that the variable region of a heavy chain I could write as VH and light chain as VL. And the antibody as such can be divided into two fragments, two parts. That is, the upper part I can call it as fragment AB, that is FAB, that is fragment antigen binding. And these constitute the whole of the light chain and the half part of the heavy chain. Whereas the carboxyl terminal, when I come to the carboxyl terminal, it is constitutes the FC fragment, which I call it as the fragment crystallizable. And this is responsible for complement activation and also to bind with the macrophages, because those cells will be having a receptor which I can term them as FC receptor. So these the antibodies, this FC part is responsible to bind with the FC receptors present on the phagocytic or the basophils or the mast cells, which are responsible for further actions. So if we summarize with the picture, we could see that, as I said, this is a glycoprotein with almost a Y structure, and we can see that it constitutes of four polypeptide chains, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we can see that the first one is the light chain. So two identical light chains, two identical heavy chains. The light chain, as I said, will be having half variable part and half constant part. And all the polypeptide chains, as we could see, may be having a amino terminal, as we expect in the case of a polypeptide chain, and a carboxyl terminal. It is in the amino terminal where the antigen binds or where the variable region could be seen. And when I come back to the heavy chain, here also I could see variable region. If I divide the heavy chain into four parts, that is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So first one, we call it as the variable region, which forms the quarter part. Whereas the 3/4 part is made up of the constant region. And the first one I can say at CH1, CH2, and CH3. And the 1 and 2 will be joined with something known as hinge region. And this is a hinge region which provide the flexibility. And we can see that all the polypeptide chains are joined together by the disulfide bonds, covalent disulfide bonds, and also the non-covalent interaction do exist. And when I divide the complete structure into two parts, I can divide it as fragment antigen binding, FAB. This upper part shows, the upper portion of this division shows the fragment antigen binding, FAB, and the lower portion, it shows the fragment crystallizable. Now we'll move on with the different classes of antibody. There, as we have seen, there are five classes of antibodies, and based on the presence of constant region. So first one is IgM, and this constant region will be different in different classes. That is, the five class will be having a different constant region, but then all the antibodies of same class or the subclass will be having same type of constant region. What is varying in them is the variable part. So we'll just move on with the different classes of antibodies. So first one is IgM, immunoglobulin M. They consist of 5 antibody monomer, that is, it is a pentamer, and it may be having this type of structure: 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these 4, this 5 and the 5, and the 5 antibody monomers are being joined by a disulfide bond, forming a chain like structure, and they also having a J chain, and it is a polypeptide sequence again. And next is the IgD. This is the first class of antibody producing B cell after its initially exposure to a antigen. Most effective in the actions like agglutination, activation of complement, and next is the IgG. It is again a monomeric antibody, and it constitute about 80% of the serum antibodies. These are found in the throughout the lymph also, and this is responsible for opsonization, activation of complement. This is the only antibody which can cross a placenta to the fetus, so it is the transplacental antibody. Next we could see IgA. IgA is a have a dimeric structure, that is, two antibody monomer bound with each other by a disulfide structure, and here also they are having a J chain and another component, that is secretory component, which is make them as a part of secretions, and they are present in saliva, mucus, breast milk, and other secretions, and it is abundant of all the antibodies. The last one is IgE. It is a monomeric class that bind to the IgE receptors on the effector cells like basophils, mast cells, which bring about the allergy or the opsonization activity, or we can say that the IgE receptors on the phagocytic cells. So if we summarize them, the classes of antibody, I could say 5 classes: IgG, M, A, D, and E. G is a monomer, the picture shows that, and it represents 80% of the total serum antibody, and it is present in the blood, lymph, intestine. And its molecular weight is 1,50,000, and the half-life is of this antibody is 23 days. Here they are also responsible for complement fixation. It is responsible for transplacental transfer, and the other functions are they enhance phagocytosis, they bring about neutralization, and also protects the fetus and the newborn. When I come about the IgM, as we know that it is having 5 monomers, that is pentamer, joined together by the disulfide bond, and it is having a J polypeptide chain too. It constitutes about 5 to 10% of the total antibodies in the blood serum, and here it is present in the blood, lymph, B cell surface. And on the B cell surface, it will be present as a monomer. Its molecular weight, since it is a pentamer, it's a heavy antibody, that is 9,70,000. The lifespan is 5 days, and here they are also responsible for complement fixation, but no placental transfer. These are especially effective against microorganisms and agglutinating antigens. These are the first to be produced in our body in response to initial infection. Next is the IgA. IgA, we know that it is normally dimer with 2 antibody monomer, and it is joined by the disulfide bond and the J chain, and it is also having a secretory component. It constitute about 10 to 15 percentage of the total serum antibody. Here it is the main component of secretory secretions like tears, saliva, mucus, intestine, milk, blood, and it is also present in the blood and the lymph. Since dimer, its molecular weight comes to about 4,05,000. The lifespan is 6 days, no complement fixation and no placental transfer, and it is the responsible person to protect the mucosal surface. Next is the IgD and IgE. Both are monomer. IgD constitute about 0.2 percentage, IgE 0.0002 percentage, and it is produced only during allergic reactions. Here these are present on the B cell surface, in the blood, and also in the lymph. Here they are bound to the mast or the basophils or the phagocytic cells, and with the Fc uh, part. And here the molecular weight is 1,75,000, 1,90,000. The half-life is 3 days and IgE is just 2 days. And no complement fixation and no transplacental transfer in both the cases. IgD will be seen serum functions not known, but then presence on B cell function is initiation of immune response, whereas IgE, the function is allergic responsibility. Next, we'll move on with another very interesting thing, that is abnormal immunoglobulins. Every time we are fascinated to speak about immunoglobulins and we feel that they are the protectors. But then what is this abnormal immunoglobulins? As the name indicates, these are the immunoglobulins which are produced as due to the genetic defect. That is, when there is a genetic defect in the genes which are responsible to produce an antibody. The best example I can quote is in the case of multiple myeloma. Multiple myeloma, you may be familiar. What is it? It is an abnormal, it's a kind of blood cancer in which abnormal and non-functional antibodies are secreted. And these antibody, here the problem is the antibody producing plasma cell will lose its control and it become invasive. And we know that this multiple myeloma is very common, and when the survey says that it is the second common cancer of the blood. And here it starts from the bone marrow. This plasma, they spread from the bone marrow. They reach the hard parts of the portions of the bone, and there in the hard part they form the tumor. Now I can call that tumor as plasmacytomas. And further they causes multiple spots or holes in the bones, and that lesions I can call it as osteolytic lesions. All these plasma cells, what we could see that once they lose their control, they are identical copies. These plasma cells are alike. So they are responsible to produce an antibody with same specificity. That is, they produce an antibody or immunoglobulin which are identical. But then the problem is that it is non-functional and non-functional, and then I can call it as paraprotein. And as I said, as all the as all the antibodies released by the same type of clones of plasma cell are alike, I can call it as a monoclonal protein or M protein. The problem with this cancer is that these immunoglobulins, which are non-functional, improper, abnormal, they outnumber and they crowd the normal antibodies. So what happens is that the normal antibodies and the normal components of immunity, they are being diminished, which leads to a condition that is immunodepression. These are present, but then these are abnormal and non-functional. So what is the use of present? They only cause problem, that is they will outnumber the normal functioning antibodies. So we could see that about 75% of the multiple myelomas, they are found, an interesting fact is that they found to produce monoclonal light chains, only the light chain. That means an antibody which is incomplete. And I can call it as Benz Johnson protein. and these are released through the urine, secreted through the urine. Whereas one person, we can see that the myelomas, they are non-secretors. They are not secreted. So that's all. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the class. Thank you.